Hello everybody, my name is Louis Boulet and I'm super excited to be able to present to you all my work on defining physicality in the modern NHL and how we can use it to visualize skaters' ability to play through contact. So the initial inspiration for this came from being pretty underwhelmed in the public sphere evaluation of physical play. I felt like there was a general lack of nuance in most of the discourse and a lot of the focus was just on the surface level, so hits being thrown, player size, etc. When in reality, meaningful physicality has a huge role in both team success and player development. So what we want to do is add an extra layer to our analysis here by really capturing plays that are physical but have purpose. So what kind of data is out there to be able to help us complete this endeavor? Well, first, the NHL makes box score level stats available for every game in the league. This includes shots, their locations, hits, blocks, other statistics like that. Unfortunately, we don't have access to more in-depth isolated player events. So when you think of a player being physical, you may think of them protecting the puck using their body or stick against an opposing player, or flipping it around, a defensive player looking to immediately pressure an opposing carrier to force them into a lower level shot. So this type of data is more found within teamworks and companies like that, or teams with their in-house analytics department. What we still have available to us, though, is it's a smaller but more significant sample that is made decently attainable to the average public analyst or fan through the All Three Zones project. This makes a bunch of different microstats available, including, especially pertinently to us here, forechecking events, passing sequences, and various other plays, for example, the ones in transition. Now, to do this, we've tried to identify specific high contact situations of the game. These are various regions or locations and game states that call for an increased level of physical willingness from the player involved. And we've established 3 different criteria to help us find these. The plays must be physical, helpful, and quantifiable using publicly attainable data sets. Now, to get an example of this, we can look at this assist from Sidney Crosby in the 2010 playoffs. As we can see, the Penguins dump it in, and Crosby comes in as the F2 on the forecheck, winning a puck battle along the way, and that's captured as a forecheck recovery, which is tracked by all 3 zones, meeting the quantifiable requirement. Then he shoulders direct pressure in a heavily contested area behind the net, matching the physical requirement. And lastly, he's able to evade his pursuer to extend the offensive possession, even leading to a goal through his assist, meaning he improved his team's state in the game, matching the helpful criteria. Now, we've identified 6 specific high contact situations in this study, the first being proactive contact. So these are more commonly found peripherals that you'll find around in the public sphere. These are plays where a player actively makes contact with an opposing player or puck in different contexts. This can include hits, penalties being drawn, takeaways, and stats of that measure. Up next are transition contests. These are pressured plays specifically when a player is looking to move the puck up the ice. Defensively, this could take the form of an entry denial where a player uses his body or stick to hinder the opposition's progress at his blue line. Whereas if you're looking at plays as a puck carrier, this could take the form of an exit while being under direct pressure from an opposing forechecker. Speaking of, the next 2 are about the forecheck, a rather physical element of the game. This one in particular is looking at the initial engagement as a player chases a dumped puck to pin back his opposition. This can be captured through recovering the puck outright, pressuring the opposing defenseman's retrieval attempt, or disrupting what would have been an eventual zone exit. Up next, we're looking to find players that can really shift from the forecheck to being able to actually capitalize offensively. To do this, we isolate for scoring chances, whether created through shots or shot assists after successful forechecking plays. This really rewards players that can blend this type of physical leverage, puck control, and processing speed together so that they can succeed in a fast, physical, and just generally suffocating environment. Keeping in line with more offensive metrics, it's important to continue to be able to withstand that level of contact as your team cycles in the offensive zone. And through Ryan Stimson's passing project in the early 2010s, we have found that passes from lower down in the offensive zone have a higher probability of scoring, which matches what we would think intuitively, right? And so this looks to reward players that can really weave through these tight spaces off the cycle and help teams get to cross creases lower in the ozone, bumper setups, or other things that have become common in today's game are rather dangerous and call for an ability to weave through this contact. And lastly, we have net front presence. This is where we get a bit of a separation between defenseman and forward metrics. So offensively, you're looking to generate rebounds, tips, deflections, and convert off those opportunities. Whereas defensively, you're hoping to suppress any sort of chance or rebound around the crease. Either way, the ideal candidate in this metric, whether offensively or defensively, will be able to portray a good amount of body positioning, balance, and awareness around the net. Now, how do we bring all this together and distill it into one single metric? So what we do is we calculate all of our high contact situation scores using the rates of 5v5 events we've outlined in each section. Then we split by position and standardize the scores, turning them into z-scores. And then we derive weights to make sure that we really prioritize plays that are more important and repeatable over the long run. So for skill repeatability, we just check to see how repeatable each of the high contact situation scores are year over year across the league. And then for play potency, what we do is we correlate each high contact situation with on-ice play driving to see how important they are and how much they actually drive play and are important to a team's success. Now, once we have these weights, we apply them to the high contact situation scores and combine them as a weighted sum to get our final play-through contact metric. Now that we have all of this, we can bring it all together into a visualization that we've dubbed the battle grid. This makes player data available dating all the way back to the 2020-21 season for all players, and is available for free on lbhockey.com if you wanted to take a look and peruse. This makes obviously the play-through contact metric available along with all the high contact situation scores. This is done obviously in positional percentile scores, so by forwards or defensemen. Really helps us to see in which ways a player is being successfully physical and willing, while also showing the physical inflection points on the ice. Now, how can we move forward to help this, have us help this in our analysis, right? Because that was the goal, is wanting to add an extra layer of evaluation in terms of physicality. So there are 2 case studies in the community note. We'll go over just one due to time constraints. This one being about team success in the playoffs. So the playoffs and games in the postseason are just perceived to be a much more physically draining game, right? And player size has been used as a sort of proxy for physical potential for a team and their grittiness. And David Johnson's studies over the past few years have shown that there is an actual link between player size and team success in the playoffs, specifically with taller defensemen driving better defensive results. However, when we look at the Panthers' dynasty over the last few years, their defensive core, even after adding Seth Jones, who's above the league average in height, this D-core of the Panthers have had a below average size on defense. And that's a decent anomaly when you compare it to recent Cup finalists in Johnson's study. But if you look at the Panthers and you watch them play, you can see that they sport a very suffocating style of hockey that doesn't really get captured when you look exclusively at size, right? Their offense is relentless on the forecheck. It's the most important part of their game, and they can create a ton of chances offensively off of it. And their D-core actually had a league best entry chance defense and entry denial rate in our data for 2024-25. So the players that kind of really helped the Panthers move forward with this strategy and shine in the data, we can look at Sam Bennett, right, who won the Conn Smythe last year, getting in the 98th percentile for play-through contact last season, and really thriving, especially in the offensive areas of the metrics that we've devised. So he was a huge threat just as a scoring threat himself around the net. In terms of helping around down low as a playmaker in the zone, he did quite well, and especially in terms of creating chances off the forecheck. He really thrived in that area of the game. The team as a whole, really, if you expand the search, right, they've scored incredibly well in this new metric. Matthew Tkachuk was the #1 across the entire league in 2024-25. Barkov was top 3. We've mentioned Sam Bennett already. And just a slew of forwards and defensemen ranking at the 82nd percentile or more. Over half the roster really ranking this highly really just goes to show how well this team scores in this new metric and helps us bridge the eye test and the data even further by adding an extra dimension to our evaluation of physical play when previous proxies, like we said, with size, may not have indicated as such. Now, there's another case study in here. We won't go over it in the presentation, but if you're interested, it's about Will Smith and how he was able to learn to invite contact and play through it more as his rookie season went along to really help him develop as a player in all areas of his game. So if you're interested in that, you can go read the community note and the proceedings on the website. The data was completed through the larger project over at LB Hockey, so if you're interested in more of the data and methodology, you can go there. And thank you so much to LINHAC for giving me the opportunity to present all of this. I'll turn it back over to you, Nicholas.